Spider-Man is no stranger to romance. Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, Felicia Hardy, and more have served as the ever-revolving heartthrobs in Peter Parker's life, providing that ever-popular relationship drama in between punching animal-themed lunatics. But do you know who I think is Spider-Man's most iconic lover? It's one that has provided highs and lows that none of the others could compete with. It's the Symbiote. Yes, the black space gunk that gave Spider-Man his powerful black suit and became the popular villain, anti-hero, and sometimes straight-up hero, Venom. This idea of the symbiote being a romantic partner might seem like a stretch at first, but it is comics, weirder things have happened. But seriously, I can make a solid case for how Peter's relationship to the symbiote and its various forms make up a tale about love, obsession, toxic relationships, and moving on. We'll start by examining the symbiote's early story arcs, starting with Spider-Man's first encounter with the symbiote would be on a distant planet during the events of Secret Wars, a Marvel event finding leagues of heroes and villains forced to battle by a being known as the Beyonder. But all we need to know here is that after sustaining damage to himself and his suit after a battle with Absorbing Man, Spider-Man uses an alien machine that heals him and covers his body with a sleek black Spidey suit. Once on Earth, Spider-Man starts to notice the benefits of his new threads. He can now shoot webs organically, and the suit morphs in response to his thoughts. That night, Peter has trouble sleeping, and the suit instinctively dresses him. Soon Peter is swinging through the city in his new duds, quickly remarking his renewed vigor. It's here we can see a base relationship sprouting between Pete and the symbiote, with the symbiote enhancing his mood and abilities. During this time, Peter's sweetheart was Felicia Hardy, Black Cat. Or maybe I should say she was Spider-Man's sweetheart. You see, Cat was attracted to the web-slinger through his wit, heroism, and that slick, sexy costume. But for Peter Parker's working-class life, she had no care. This caused a schism in their relationship, one that the symbiote was ever so slightly using as a way to bond further with Peter and influence his mind and emotions. While in the suit, Peter feels fantastic, but out of it he feels exhausted. Many panels are devoted to Peter remarking how tired he feels, and soon we find out why. The symbiote has been hijacking Pete's body during the night, taking it out for joyrides to feed off the strength, energy, and subconscious desires of Spider-Man. Soon the suit starts resisting Peter's commands to detach. Here we can see the symbiote developing a clinging attachment to our hero. To complicate things, classic love interest Mary Jane re-enters the story, concerned about the stresses afflicting Peter. And to complicate things even further, she reveals she always knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Alongside all this are subplots of Peter struggling to keep up commitments with his Aunt May and workplace hassles. All of this stress pushes Peter to visit the Fantastic Four to examine the new suit. Turns out the suit is alive and slowly bonding with Peter's mind and body. Sensing danger, the suit refuses to detach from Peter until a sound weapon is used to destabilize and contain it. This breakup is short-lived though, as the symbiote soon escapes from its prison, returning to Peter's apartment to ambush him. Web of Spider-Man number 1 starts with Peter mentioning his breakup with Black Cat, and shortly after, Peter is tricked into donning the symbiote, which disguised itself as his old costume. This time the suit is spiteful, actively rebelling against Peter's commands. After some crime-fighting shenanigans, Peter ends up in a church belfry. The intense noise of the ringing bell forces the symbiote off, but the noise also causes Peter to lose consciousness. Despite its seemingly emotionless cruelty, the symbiote drags Peter to safety and then flees. The symbiote is clearly presented as a sinister force to Spider-Man, sapping his strength, attempting to bond completely. But from this last scene in the bell tower, we see the symbiote has some interest in keeping Peter alive. Whether it's simply because Spider-Man's unique strength and abilities provide a quality host, or there's some form of emotional attachment is dubious. But if we look at Peter's other relationships during this arc, and how they're presented, we can find some subtext to give us more context. The main person to focus on here is Black Cat. Black Cat and the symbiote have a lot of surprising parallels. Both have a relationship with Spider-Man, one that interrupts and complicates the life of Peter Parker. Black Cat repeatedly goes to Peter's friends and family looking for him, risking the exposure of his secret identity, while the symbiote drains Peter's energies, making it harder for him to balance his dual lives. Both are only interested in the Spider-Man persona, Both are dangerous and mysterious forces, with Black Cat being a criminal, and the symbiote presented as an ever-evolving mystery. On top of that, you'll notice they both share a color scheme. I think the most clear evidence of the symbiote being more than just a sinister force is this panel from Amazing Spider-Man number 259, where She-Hulk remarks about the symbiote, "Next you'll be telling me it's capable of emotions like love and hate, more than just base symbiosis." I see the symbiote developing as a partner to Spider-Man with complicated emotional connection, not much different than Black Cat or Mary Jane. But of course, this is a toxic relationship that would only escalate in the next arc with... Time passes. Peter is now married to Mary Jane. He returns to school and uses a cloth version of the black suit because the look was just too popular with fans to give up. Through the numerous Spider titles, there are glimpses of an unseen enemy sabotaging Spider-Man, such as grabbing his leg while web slinging to throw him off balance. Soon, it's revealed to be the symbiote, now bonded with Eddie Brock to become Venom. But wait, who's Eddie Brock? Without dredging up a ton of Spider-Man lore and history, Eddie was a reporter who wrote the story of a man confessing to be the villain known as Sin Eater. However, Spider-Man would catch the real Sin Eater, and Eddie was disgraced as a journalist and fired. He blamed Spider-Man for this. Eddie would end up at the same church where the symbiote split from Peter. Sensing Eddie's spite, the symbiote bonded with him, and the two create Venom, whose sole purpose is revenge on Spider-Man. I can't help but see the symbiote as a jilted lover taking on a new partner purely out of a shared hatred for the ex. Both the symbiote and Eddie share their victim complex in a toxic relationship, blaming Spidey for their misfortunes and putting all of their energies towards ruining his life. With Peter's more stable relationship with Mary Jane, as opposed to the one with Black Cat, the symbiote serves as a tumultuous relationship in his life, including showing up at his aunt's house, not too different than what Black Cat did issues prior. Not so coincidentally, Black Cat returns in the previous issue, forcing a contrast between the two yet again. Venom and Black Cat end up paralleling each other even more when Black Cat finds out that Peter Parker married Mary Jane, and out of jealousy, attacks her in her own home. Despite Eddie referring to their union of Venom as we, it's clear the symbiote still has eyes only for Spider-Man. During Spidey's second major fight with Venom, he willingly gives himself up to the symbiote, which desperately tries to rebond with him. But the symbiote's attachment to Eddie is too complete, causing the symbiote and Eddie to be knocked unconscious by the stress and effort. What else besides an obsessive love could make the creature act that way? This arc changes the nature of the symbiote from a toxic lover to a stalker ex willing to wrap others into their plot for revenge without care. It's safe to say Eddie could be considered a rebound relationship for the symbiote, causing his life to spiral further out of control. When you end up obsessing over revenge while lifting weights in the sewers, it's safe to say your life has spiraled out of control. And this relationship continues to devolve even further with the offspring of this black romance. Brief pause here. My comic Br'er Rabbit in the Jazz Age is currently on Kickstarter. For just $10, you can snag a physical copy of this supernatural mystery in Ku Klux Klan territory. And for a bit more, you can get extra rewards. I'd immensely appreciate it if you click the link in the description and pledge to get my work printed. Now back to the video. Skipping ahead in time, Eddie Brock is in prison, cellmates with serial killer Cletus Cassidy. Comic book shenanigans ensue, and Eddie is broken out of prison by the symbiote, leaving an offspring behind which attaches itself to Cletus, creating Carnage. This forces a team-up between Spidey and Venom to take down what is essentially their problem child. This union doesn't last long, as almost immediately after subduing Carnage, Venom tries to kill Spidey, only for a last-minute save by Reed Richards. Soon after, we get a much longer team-up during Maximum Carnage, which ends in Carnage being seemingly destroyed, And this time, Venom chooses to escape without enacting revenge on Spider-Man. Outside of Carnage being a very blunt child of Spider-Man and Venom, we also get just the smallest bit of character growth for Venom, choosing not to strike back at Spider-Man. From here, Venom would become popular enough to have his own stories and adventures separate from Spider-Man. During the Planet of the Symbiotes arc, Eddie and the symbiote fully reconcile their detachment from Spider-Man and truly become a loving union, having openly romantic feelings for each other and even entering polyamorous relationships. But maybe we'll save that for a future video. Now, I'm not the first person to notice this suggestion of maybe not a romance, but at least a strong emotional relationship between the symbiote and Peter. But I feel not enough analysis of the relationship has been highlighted. The tumultuous black romance between Spider-Man and the symbiote is strange even for comics, but fits very well thematically into the Webhead storyline. The overarching theme of troubled romances, strained relationships, and toxic revenge all fits very well into Spider-Man. It would be interesting to see a writer make this relationship more overt, with a retelling of these arcs in a similar vein to Spider-Man Blue and Spider-Man A Life Story. Maybe we'd see Peter reciprocate the symbiote's attachment in some ways. Maybe there would be a more overt romantic side. I don't know if the symbiote's creator Tom DeFalco intended this, or even Venom's creator Todd McFarlane. But I certainly enjoy this perspective on one of Spider-Man's most iconic characters, and I think it adds a lot of depth to what in many times is simply seen as an edgy brute from the 90s. If you like this video, like and subscribe and all that jazz, and please go to the Kickstarter link in the description to snag yourself a copy of Br'er Rabbit in the Jazz Age. I'd really appreciate it.